All right. Hey, so we are back this week, and this is Flipping Landlord Ninja.
Kevin the Property Prince.
And we are
Two Guys Take on Real
Estate.
And we're live.
We are live today, yes.
Unless you're watching this later.
Well, that's true. Then it's
in which
recorded.
case we're coming to you from the past. Spooky. I don't know. It's almost Halloween.
It is. I was gonna say it is almost Halloween. So nice.
That was a good tie-in right there. Say it.
So what we want to talk today about is kind of something that came out in the news recently about Zillow. Everyone knows Zillow. They're the largest out in the space. They've got all that data. They've been marketing and advertising in the real estate space for a very long time.
It's literally become the Google of real estate. It's literally it's the first place people go when they want to look up anything about a house. Exactly.
And so they a few years ago started what's called an iBuyer program, or Zillow Offers is the actual name of the program. And basically kind of want to go over what that is. It's what they call an iBuyers program. There's also a couple other companies. Zillow currently is the second largest of the iBuyer program. I think it's Open Door is the largest.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
And what it is they basically blanket. It's kind of like what we do actually, is kind of like blanket offers out to a bunch of people that might want to sell their homes. And I was talking to someone who actually got an offer from Zillow Offer. And essentially what it is they practically offered their Zestimate price.
Yeah.
Then they took a 6% seller's commission. Then they took some closing doc fees.
These guys are sneaky.
They took another 3.5% convenience fee, I think it is.
I mean, why not? You just call it the whatever fee.
Right.
A fee for the fee on top of the fee.
There you go. And then they also said, well, we also have to look at the property. So we're estimating repairs to be like $4,000 to $12,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's eerily close to the kind of thing that we talk about
right.
on our channel.
But they're doing it on a massive scale.
Right.
I mean, they have billions and billions of dollars.
Good for them.
Yeah,
they're doing something right. But I mean, that's something we all talk about, all dream of, right? If you're starting a small business or you're doing something on your own, what's one of the things that's in the back of your head is how can I exponentially grow this? How can I scale this business? They basically did it. And to increase their bottom line and pad their numbers so that, if you get taught, they can offer a really attractive number in a house, then they turn around and build in all these extra costs and fees in a different way. So hats off to Zillow. Good for them.
I became their #1 source of revenue for their company over the last, last 2 years. So it's phenomenal. Has done really well for them, which is great. Now, obviously, it helps the fact that the real estate market has been booming.
I mean, yeah, it's going to help for everybody in that kind of work, sure.
And some people have speculated this might have helped lead to the housing market kind of getting overheated in certain markets. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, if you look, it's a small percentage when you're looking at how much they're actually buying compared to the housing stock.
But we talk about this kind of stuff. Nobody has one right answer. And
correct.
My thing is there probably isn't one thing that did it. It's the culmination of a bunch of things.
Oh, definitely.
And I think this certainly could be considered an element of it, this type of approach.
So what happened a couple of days ago that Zillow just announced?
That my home value went up another couple percent.
Woo!
So from what I understand, Zillow. How did you put it?
No.
How did you put it?
This is PG. We gotta go PG.
Oh, okay. Zillow is moving away from doing that.
Yes.
Very suddenly.
They've stopped all operations for Zillow Offers. Now, this is not like just one market, 2 markets, completely stop the program. So their largest source of revenue right now, they just decided, nope, we're cutting it off.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense. I'm going to cut off 2 legs because I don't need those.
No, one thing about businesses, if it makes money, they don't stop it. They find a way to keep doing it. They pivot it. They improve it. If anything, they strengthen it and put more focus into it if it makes money. So right now, why would you change that?
Well, so one of the things that they cited was the fact that an issue with getting basically contractors, sourcing materials and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, we've had the same issue.
No.
But are we stopping our business? Are we just cutting?
No.
We're done?
No. Like we said, we pivot, we adjust, we change. Yep, absolutely.
And now we might not buy in certain markets. We might do, adapt or whatever, because everyone knows real estate is very market specific. It doesn't all of a sudden the whole housing market doesn't crash all across the United States. Yep. It's maybe a couple different areas that are overheated, and often people are moving and migrating to different areas. So maybe one is actually losing people, others increasing the population. Yep. So things, they're going to do a little better than them. So,
and we get that kind of feedback all the time on all of our different platforms. We got Instagram, we got TikTok, we got YouTube. And, we hear that all the time. People are like, wow, I mean, I can't do this or that, or you can't do an apartment or a house for this or for that in my area. I was like, well, there's all sorts of different markets. There's all sorts of different areas where all sorts of different strategies could work differently.
Correct. And so one thing I kind of beg the question is, since they have some of the largest amount of data on the housing market, could this be an indication that they're feeling that the housing market is nearing its top?
Oh,
Are they feeling it's heated?
I don't know, man.
And they have a lot of property that they still have to kind of process through.
Dude, this is Zillow we're talking about, guys. Think about it, right? When a real estate agent, when somebody's telling you about your property and the first thing they use for a source is Zillow, though, I mean, are you really going to try? They have all the data. It's Zillow's data. How accurate can it possibly be?
I'm guessing it's pretty accurate.
You're probably right. It probably is. It's just the old joke about Zillow never being.
I know. Never trust their estimate.
I mean, especially nowadays when they're using it to make offers on houses and stuff like that, makes you wonder. Really, it
does. So, I mean, I wanted to kind of take a few questions, feel everyone else's idea and pulse on the issue, because this is something that obviously we're watching in the markets that we're in, and we just want to make sure we're adapting as needed.
We love to hear from our feedback, questions, and comments from our YouTube subscribers. So YouTube people, if you're out there watching live right now, I see there's a few things in the chat box already. We're going to start pulling those up. And if you're watching this on a replay, again, thanks for hanging out and being part of our channel. It's never too late to comment or drop a question in the comment section. We'll do our best to get back to you on
Exactly. So Rob is one of our regulars. What's up, Rob? Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you too, Rob. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for saying hi, Rob. We appreciate you being here.
I use it for advertising a lot. All right, Kay Baker. Okay. Yeah, we actually haven't used Zillow as much for advertising these days.
I think they changed a lot of up to a pay thing.
At
some point.
It used to be free, and just like we used to use Craigslist, we shifted Craigslist to Zillow, and now honestly we mostly use for advertising our rental units and stuff like that is actual Facebook Marketplace, stuff like that.
Oh, sure, big time. I mean, especially for your local markets, if you're, absolutely.
And we have actually an overabundance of actual people that are applying these days that we have quite a bit of a waiting list, I'd say. So
it's which is a beautiful thing to have, because then, as we talk about all the time on our YouTube channel and our various platforms like TikTok, hi TikTok, people over there, we talk about being able to have the ability to screen better, be a little bit more choosy about the people you're working with.
Yep. You want to see what Emily needs?
I'm assuming. Sure.
All right. So, Adrian, hey, Unexcel here from TikTok. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming over from TikTok. If you guys, anyone else on TikTok want to jump over here on our YouTube, that'd be awesome. It's Two Guys Take on Real Estate, just like our TikTok and just like our Instagram.
Yeah, we try to keep it real simple because we know somebody won't remember it if we named them different things.
To be honest,
you should see this guy trying to figure out how to log into different accounts. It's so terrible.
Because we have so many.
I know, it's bad.
Literally, how many passwords do I have to remember?
I know how many. Yeah. What's your third pet? I mean, my God, who remembers some of these things? These security questions are tough.
My third pet was Sheba. No, sorry. She was my fourth.
Don't stop giving it away, dude. Now everybody's gonna be hacking in. See, you're just naming off. Why don't you just tell them what street and what middle name you have? I mean,
James.
My God, you're gonna get yourself hacked.
Because I'm not an idiot. I don't use those things as my password.
He does. No.
Yeah, this guy uses 1, 2, 3, 4.
That sounds like the combination some idiot would have on their luggage.
Everyone get that reference?
Somebody must know that reference.
Come on.
Out there. There's so many things running right now. I want to hear that. We got some answers to that. All right, back to the YouTube questions and comments over here on a YouTube live stream.
So, Rob, I thought they were losing money on it. From what I've actually heard is they've actually been doing quite well, mostly because of the fact that they're charging quite a few fees, as well as the market has been appreciating quite a bit. So and I found, honestly, their estimates are often low in a lot of the markets that we've been buying.
I mean, for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with that. And don't forget, I mean, and again, Rob, I don't necessarily know where you came up with that answer or where we came up with ours 100%. But the thing is, you can look at ways they maybe are buying things at higher value than they might otherwise buy. But then we talked about, they have all these fees and percentages that they're stuffing the deals with that actually they could be making more money over here. So it's kind of like when, a business, you walk into a business, a store, they sell you a product, you buy a printer at an office store.
Right.
They lose a few bucks on selling you that printer, but then they slam you on, they make all the money on selling you the paper and the ink and the cord and the service plan that goes with the printer.
And the data, all the data they're collecting with it.
Yeah, that too. So there's a lot of other ways to make money. Maybe you're right. Maybe they were losing money on one element of it and it wasn't very profitable, but then they bundled all around it.
Right. But it was its number one source of revenue into the business.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah.
Lisa. Just had my house appraised. Zillow was off by quite a lot. Yes,
we hear that a lot.
That I definitely are. Now I question: is it, Lisa? Was it higher or lower?
I mean,
off is it up or down? I'm curious. Most of the time, what we've been finding is that, and I did a video on our YouTube channel. Guys, go check it out about how Zestimate, you can't really trust it, and more. You really need to run your own comps. Or hire a third-party appraiser who actually, goes out and actually does the same thing, and they're pulling all the data together. But often Zestimate is way off. And honestly, early on, we did leverage that. Unfortunately, we thought, all right, great, we'll leverage, the Zestimate offer.
That's right.
And we're going to all these foreclosure auctions. This was years ago.
Yep, sure.
And we would take that, then we'd multiply it by, and create a whole formula. Yeah, sure. So we'll take the Zillow number. Let's just say it's 100,000 times 70%, and boom, all right, we can pay X amount minus repairs. Great. Well, that Zestimate back then, this was maybe 6-7 years ago, was actually quite high.
Yeah.
So compared to what the actual appraisals came back in.
Right. We got a little bit of a wake-up call there.
Yes,
again, we did. We learned as we went.
And so then we pivoted and we started running our own comps. I actually took a couple classes for appraising.
Yeah.
And got to get a little bit more education there as well years ago. And I think that really helped us kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we learned from the experience there. I mean, without taking classes or reading books, once you do something and then you kind of get burned a little bit, you learn very quickly not to do that again.
Yep. Made a lot of revenue up, but overspent on repairs. Initial. I definitely heard that they were overspending a little bit on repairs.
Yeah.
I definitely have some of the data and some of the articles that I've read as well. But I think they also, don't forget, they've made a lot of money on these fees that they were charging.
Obviously, huge revenue drivers for anybody. Good for them. I mean, good for them. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
All right, hey guys, what's up, Brayden?
Thanks for being part of the channel and saying hi to us on our YouTube broadcast. We appreciate you being here, buddy.
Much appreciated, everyone.
I love it. I love when people come on and just say what's up. That's the best.
What's up? All right, Adrian, here from your live you did yesterday, talking about Section 8.
Yeah,
all man. Right, this guy.
Thanks for being here. We talk about a wide variety of topics on our channel, seriously, whether it's buying and holding property and basically being a landlord, learning how to manage and deal with tenants and properties and issues like that, to flips, to wholesales.
Exactly. Yep. And, we're kind of focusing today on about where's the market going. Is it an indication from Zillow that the market is going to a downturn?
Yeah.
And what we've been seeing. So one thing I want to talk about too is what we've been seeing. It's very market specific. So I'm seeing certain markets that are still doing very, very well. But then I was looking at some indicators from, for instance, Pittsfield. I was looking at the median sale price has been down over the last couple months by 32%. A lot of that data you can get on like the MLS and stuff like that if you have access to that kind of data. There are Redfin actually has also a lot of the data that they publish as well. But yeah, I mean,
a drop though.
That's huge. And Springfield is starting to see a drop as well.
Oh boy.
But we're still getting a lot of strong. We just re-put a property on the market we had under contract, but the buyer couldn't get financing or something like that. We pop it back on the market. We have 7 showings within less than 24 hours. So there's still a lot of buyers out there.
We'll take it.
But we're definitely seeing the median price coming down a little bit. So it might be softening to a bit. We're also seeing interest rates starting to incline.
So maybe Zillow is onto something. Folks being a little ahead of the curve, that you never know. That could very well be the case.
Yep. All right. So Lisa.
Well, we're way behind on the comments.
I had a Sheba. Lisa, okay. You had so mine was a cat named Sheba. Honestly, the loudest, annoyingest cry ever. Would you not say?
Oh, yeah. The cat was in our office quite a bit, so sure.
But I love that cat. She was 23 years old when she passed.
We were working out of our living rooms at that point, and the cat was always up on the desk or something like that.
So just so you guys understand, when we first started our company, about 12, 13 years ago?
Feels like 35, Matt. That's what I always say.
Well, you look like you're 60 something. Yeah.
Oh,
but yeah, when we started off, we were working out of our actual vehicles. We were trying to find a McDonald's, stuff like that, to find free Wi-Fi.
my dad, borrowed whatever old vehicles on, and that's what we were. Yeah, I was sitting in the parking lot of a Dunkin' Donuts typing up for forms and printing at Staples. Yeah.
And then eventually we bought some properties. We actually had a 3-family house that, we thought it was a 3-family house. But it actually had an illegal 3rd floor unit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's okay if I rent it. I'm not going to sue myself.
Sure.
But so I kind of basically, you might, yes. But so we kind of made that our, like, we lived there / office. It was kind of a, we would pick up like we each had a living room or something like that. And we kind of set up computers and started having employees come there. And it was kind of,
it was makeshift.
Yeah,
but that's
very makeshift.
Small businesses, that's how they get their start. They start in garages a lot of times, and Apple.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
Sure. So there you go.
All right. It was higher, Lisa. Okay. So sorry, it's kind of finalizing that question you had. So her Zillow actually came in higher. Well, that's wow.
Yep.
So we're definitely not seeing it in the market that we're in right now. Mostly in the Hamden, Hampshire, and Berkshire counties. Yeah. We're definitely seeing Zillow values kind of be low, but with most of our appraisals coming in and sale prices. But yeah, I mean, once again, I be careful with Zillow. I don't know. That's the other thing is I was looking at some of their data and their sales. I don't know where they always get their sales because I looked at a couple sales and I checked the registry deeds and they actually hadn't. It doesn't confirm sale.
It doesn't cost a ton of money also to get an appraisal done.
Right.
We do that all the time when we do our wholesale deals.
Yep.
We get appraisals done. We give those appraisals to the buyers. Say, listen, we're not making up, the value of this property. Here's an actual appraisal. You could hire somebody, but we already did.
Yeah. So what Kevin's talking about is basically we hire a 3rd-party appraiser and you get what's called a drive-by appraisal. Yep. So they basically kind of, run some comps, look at if it's all fixed up, and a drive-by ARV appraisal.
Right.
And this way, it's just helping you sell the property that much more. It costs a couple $100. Obviously every market will be a little different, whatever you negotiate with that appraiser. But and they're going to be conservative in general because their license is on the line, so they're not going to overestimate in general because they don't want to have the risk of that. Because someone could hold that
exactly. That kind of stuff is going to come out at some point, and this is real money that you're playing with here.
Yep. So them leaving that space is great, right? Since there is a less purchase competition now. So yeah, Rob, I think it's great in the sense that it's going to be less people that there'll be maybe more houses on the market. I think, eventually that as, the foreclosure market's actually kind of starting to, again, now it's still way under what it used to be because there's still the moratoriums are still, ending.
Yeah. And motivated sellers, remember, if you're a wholesaler, if you're getting into driving for dollars, some of the cool techniques like that we teach a lot here on YouTube, you're creating the seller. These sellers aren't owners that are out looking around for options. You're the option that's knocking on their door and, persuading them that they should understand they should be a motivated seller. You're helping them understand that they are in fact a motivated seller. Well, they just usually have been just ignoring their issues for the most part. So I don't know how much, for the actual motivated sellers, people who are sellers. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be, you're not competing with this online resource that can do everything. Correct. So I fully support that idea. Yeah.
But at the same time, I think there's not one factor. So Zillow pulling out, that might be an indicator. It might, increase some. I mean, they're only buying a small percentage of the actual housing stock, but the fact that they're such a, have a lot of data and stuff like that, they have a lot of knowledge, that it might be an indication that they are seeing what's to come. Mm-hmm. We're seeing interest rates rise. We're seeing the moratorium end. We're seeing evictions increase. But there's so many factors. Then maybe on the other side, though, we're seing rents going up like crazy.
Well, everything's going up. All the cost for an owner is gone through the roof. And then people are like, I can't believe anything else is exploding in price. Why wouldn't you believe this at all?
Well, and this is why some landlords that, maybe couldn't, what's happening is they haven't been able to recoup some of the costs over during the moratoriums. They're kind of stuck. They're now having to try to recoup.
They're trying to recoup. This is way riskier than it was just 2 years. I'm going to run this risk. I'm going to have a greater reward. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it.
Well, it's not even a greater reward. It's just kind of getting
right. In this case here, because of all the inflation, all the costs. Yeah, I agree.
But then on top of that, so now, Kevin goes and rents a place because he's trying to recoup some of his costs for $1,100. Sure. And I've got an $800 same unit, almost apples to apples, Now I'm like, wait a minute. If he's getting $1,100, why am I going to keep renting this for $800?
Suddenly,
so
your place is $300 under market.
Exactly. So now I'm going to look to try to raise those rents when I can, and kind of keep pushing the market up. And that's kind of what we're seeing in general. In a lot of our markets, everyone's just keeps pushing,
spiraling, just going to get a little out of control.
Now, exactly. And now this can't go on forever either, because I haven't seen people's income hasn't been increasing. So, I mean, I don't know, how's everyone affording it right now? A lot of times it's government funds. And I think that might be the next kind of thing. I don't know. Well, come on. Something.
There's going to be a lot of overnight crypto millionaires out there making it happen for themselves.
True.
Speaking of which, I know we've been ignoring a lot of these comments that are coming up, Matt. But we have one of those guys in our comments.
Cena? Okay.
Oh, YOLO
Cena,
Bitcoin.
Well, all right. Well, Bitcoin is crazy right now. So, I mean, it's really not our show for it. But I'm not saying I'm not happy that Bitcoin's hit all new time highs.
So if you're still here, man, thanks for popping on, saying what's up. And for our live stream, YouTube live stream followers right now, he's definitely worth giving a follow to. I'm sure we will do the same once we figure out how to do that.
Exactly. And he's got a great TikTok too. He does some interesting videos, mostly about crypto.
Oh yeah. Yep. Crypto, big shot over on the TikTok world and YouTube.
Alex, what's up, guys? How's it going? Alex, it's going well.
Yeah, it's going great, Alex. We're talking today about how Zillow is backing out of the house buying game, and we're loving it. But we're also wondering, what does that mean? Why would a company who's being successful, has been found a lot of success doing that, right? Why would they back out? What do they know that's causing them to pivot? You don't usually pivot if you're running a successful business unless there's danger coming or you're not going to make any money.
And I mean, that's kind of what we've been seeing too. Right now, we're looking at possibly trying to consolidate, become cash rich, so to speak. Kind of cash.
That would be nice, Matt. I'm going to tell you, that'd be nice to be cash rich for a change.
I really potentially see a deflationary.
I'm getting a diamond tooth, everybody. I'm going to do it. Let's all pitch in. Can we get a GoFundMe for a diamond tooth? I want to be cash. Hell, only one of them, though. It'll be off center. It's going to look great. I'm kidding. I would never do that.
Yes, you would.
I would totally do that.
But we're looking at the same thing. We're trying to pivot in certain markets and kind of become cash rich because we feel a deflationary issue is coming. Could we be wrong? Yes. But and again, as long we're not going to get hurt by doing this.
No, 100. Well, we get hurt a little bit with the inflation, hurting us, but
to a point,
only for a
very
small
minimal.
amount of time.
And then we can once again, when we know that the market's kind of stabilized again, we can jump back in.
But we see and hear that so much. People are waiting. They're waiting for a crash, or waiting for a bubble to burst. All the different expressions. They're waiting to pounce on an opportunity. So maybe this Zillow thing is an indicator.
It's very possible. I mean, and again, we're saying around the corner. I mean, more likely not. Zillow has quite a bit of inventory that they purchased, so they're gonna, take quite a few months to actually, work it through. So I would guess, we're looking at the next 6 to 12 months to things start shift. So. Someone's talking about Kevin.
Let's get to the next comment. We got a couple of comments here from Lisa. We got to get on here.
All right, Lisa.
All right, so Lisa on our YouTube live stream. For those of you that are still on Instagram and TikTok and watching this, you're welcome to be here. But we are reading. If you're wondering where these questions are coming from, they're on our YouTube live happening right now. Prior to evicting my tenant, I raised the rent. He flipped out 2 times in 6 years. I went up 120 from the time of move in. Still $200 under market value. Glad he's gone.
Wow, Lisa.
Been there.
Yep.
A lot.
Well, this is why, once again, we talk about that it's important to, even if it's a small increase every year, to do something. Well, because it gets them in the habit of understanding that there's going to be an year, even if it's $10.
So I do like the idea of, I'll say, adjusting the rent every year because markets do change. Okay. It doesn't make any sense to go up if the market is really, really dropping in your area.
I keep going up. Come on.
Money is money. I get it. No, but at the very least, here's what I'm going to put it out there a little bit more diplomatic in a way that's flexible for all situations is have a discussion with your tenant, some kind of interaction about their contract, helping them understand that it's not a rental. It's not like you moved in 1988 and your rent stays the same the rest of your life while you're there. They're renting a place to live. A rental is a temporary situation. Just like when Enterprise gives you that car to use for the week. I mean, that's a rental. It's due back. They don't get to keep it until they bought a car or got their other. I mean, they only get to keep it as long as both parties had originally agreed. So help these guys understand their contract is a temporary contract. It's for the 6 months or the 1 year lease that it is. And at the end of that lease, if you want to renew, you'll have to have some discussions about it. if you're renting somebody under market value, they need to be you have to be very clear and make sure you drive home the fact that you are keeping them way under market value because you value their tenancy and you're going to do it as long as you can, but it's going to have to adjust at some point.
I understand, but also your expenses are going up. So as well, just looking at it from a business standpoint, you also your taxes are going up. Your the water bills, whatever.
No, I'm not suggesting you don't do an increase. I'm suggesting if you choose to not do an increase and keep them under market value or whatever, make sure they're well aware of what you're doing for them. Make sure they're well aware of the awesome deal that they're getting. Get some mileage out of that.
Sure.
If it becomes an entitlement and an expectation, you're not doing yourself any favor by losing money.
But really, what is the benefit of actually not doing it? Like, I guess
not what
of not raising the rent. Yeah, I guess I'm looking at it from a business standpoint. You need to keep, kind of making sure you're at least covering your costs. Because you're increasing.
I'm not arguing for not covering your cost.
Okay.
You can cover your cost and still be renting below market, right? Sometimes your costs are just
but if your costs keep going up every year, you're less and less covering that cost.
Assuming your costs do go up every year, yes.
In general, it does.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want to always increase your rents,
look at labor costs. Have labor costs gone up or down over the last 20, 30 years?
So what Matt's talking a little bit about is some of the background about your costs. What we do have as well is a tenant retention workshop that we have somewhere on a link on one of these platforms. and you can get to that. But one of the things you really want to analyze is if you're going to do a rent increase, if you're going to hold somebody really strictly to a lease clause and ask them to leave because you don't approve of their cat that they have. If you're going to rock the boat, be ready to understand that there's going to be some costs associated to that. So I understand, you have to increase your rent if you want to keep, the same amount of profitability every year. But if you increase the rent $50 or $100 and your tenant says, you know what, I'm looked around for what else is out there and I've been here for 5 years now and there's a nice newly renovated place just down the street and I can rent that for about the same price you're adjusting mine to. So I'm going to go there. It's been great renting from you. See you later. And you say, wow, gosh, now I have an empty apartment producing $0 for the next several months. How long might it take to turn over an apartment if you're a rookie, not a big established business like us?
Yeah, you're right. It could take months. It could take then they find someone else and
another couple of months to get somebody moved.
Potentially, yes.
It could be down 4 or 5 months of vacancy. That's it could be several $1,000s. So
True.
All because they wanted to make sure they were getting the full market price. And
I'm not even saying full market price. I guess that's the disconnect here. I'm not saying the full market price. So they could still be below what the market bears. But I'm saying that, if your costs are going up 2%, yet market price is going up 10%.
Right.
If you at least increase it at 2 or 3%,
absolutely,
you're actually at least covering your costs.
Right.
At some point, if you keep charging less and less, keeping it still,
yep,
you're going to end up not being able to
not even breaking even at some point.
Exactly.
You won't have any profit. You won't break even. You'll start losing money.
Right. Things wear, and these houses, they wear and tear.
Right. But you don't necessarily always have to crank your prices to whatever market value is if it means potentially losing a customer.
I concur.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I said, you have your own business. Everybody's going to run their own business differently when you have an apartment for rent. You want to make the right decisions for you and analyze your situation based on, what could happen when you make those adjustments.
Lisa definitely liked your idea of the
some of those neighborhoods. I'm getting my taste for some bling bling.
Woo! All right, we're a little behind. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah,
sell your houses on a lease option, and then the market turning doesn't impact. So that's not a bad idea. So lease options. So be rent to own. And I don't want to get. I'm not giving legal advice here or whatever, but there are some things that changed during the Dodd-Frank Act that makes lease to own, doing the rent to own a little more difficult. But a lease option is basically where someone puts down basically $5,000 to buy your property in X amount of time for said price. So maybe in 4 years, they're going to buy it for $200,000. So they're buying, the option buys it to fix that price. Whereas another way a lot of people are comfortable is like renting or lease to rent or whatever, or renting to own, where they're paying X amount extra every month. And laws have changed and stuff like that. After 2008 crash, they set up the Dodd-Frank Act, and there's you just got to be very careful what you can and can't do with that. Whereas the lease option, it's there's more leeway. Mobile X Legend. Woo. Yeah.
How many rentals do you guys have? What ways can I prepare myself to buy my first one? I'm 17. I want to start as early as possible.
Fantastic.
That is fantastic. And that's one of the things that we always get asked.
Yep.
Wish we had really started jumping into really doing this full time earlier.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we've had up to over 500 rental units, and actually we're getting ready to do a nice article on that, which is coming out hopefully in November. So that's gonna be exciting. But yeah, so we definitely had quite a few rental units, all from single families to large apartment, buildings where like
the whole blend of types of
exactly.
Yep.
So we've had all different types. What can I do to prepare myself to buy my first one? I highly recommend building your credit. Like that's just one of the simplest things to start is improving your credit so that you can get the maximum price point.
Everything you can do to prepare yourself to get your first one costs almost no money. In fact, the best things you can do cost no money.
Right.
Like you said, learning about how credit works, preparing your credit, and then simply training your brain to real estate. Like I always talk about, you're in the right place. You're in the learning stage. Immersing yourself in an environment with people like us.
Yeah, I mean, you're 17. Maybe find a local realtor or find a property manager that you can work with and start networking.
Yeah.
And the next thing I would do is if you can get into a house hack that you can actually find a deal that you can actually build value in.
Right.
I think that would be the optimal place. I mean, honestly, once again, Kevin and I talk about if we were to start all over again, I would buy a 2 or 4 family house.
Yeah, sure.
I'd live in one unit and I'd fix up the others. So I'm building that value and doing what's called the BRRRR, but also house hacking. So it's kind of a BRRRR house hack. And I think that is the best way. And then you can basically put a Heloc on there. Now you have the equity there that you can leverage into buying more. And then maybe you buy just one a year. Maybe you just buy one every other year. But in like 10, 20 years, you're going to be a millionaire.
Oh, you'll be flying.
And you're going to be doing in cash flowing really, really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. As long as you buy right, by the way.
Yeah, buy right.
Do you have any short-term rentals? Yes. We don't together. I actually have one at my house. I house hacked my house with some Airbnbs, and we have talked about doing some other stuff out in like Stockbridge and stuff like that.
But we have a lot of stuff going on, so it's hard. We can't do everything. We try.
Yep. But short-term rentals can be very profitable. There is much more management with them, or you can hire a property manager, which you generally pay. I think I've heard 20-30%, which seems like a lot, but there's a lot more revenue there.
Yeah,
so.
if you can afford it, sure.
Exactly. All right. Adrian, would it be best time to buy now that prices are going down? So we get asked that, when's a good time to buy? Should we wait? Should we not? Honestly, it depends on the deal. Like I would not. We're buying now still. So we haven't stopped buying. We're being more cautious.
Yeah. I mean,
but we're not stopping buying.
Yeah. If you're gonna continue buying, this isn't like your one-time buy. I mean, usually if your first buy might be the way to better phrase it, not like you only buy. If it's gonna make money and you analyze the deal and it makes money, you should probably buy it.
Now, and we're talking about investment properties, by the way. If you're talking about your personal house, that might be a whole different story.
Obviously,
and that comes emotions and all these other things, and maybe you need to move or what.
Right. That's
a whole different scenario, and we really don't talk a lot about personal homes.
Right.
But if you're looking for an investment property or a personal house that you're house hacking, where you're renting out part of it, if the deal makes sense, we say buy.
Yep.
But I just say right now, more than ever, you really need to take your time to evaluate that. And like we were saying, Zillow's pulling out. So that's kind of putting us a little more pause to be, all right, maybe we should, tap the brakes a little bit.
It's worth looking around.
Run our numbers a little tighter.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you guys only invest in bigger cities? What are your thoughts investing in smaller towns? No, we actually, we're not picky about where we invest at all.
Yeah.
So we have properties all across Western Mass and Connecticut in small little rinky-dink towns like Chester.
Yeah, sure. Small towns, small areas. We really don't like doing stuff like that's too far away where it's too much of a drive. But an hour away or so.
But I wouldn't suggest that, like, if you're first starting out, maybe not go an hour away unless you have a property manager or team in place that's further. I would recommend looking at something that you don't mind a short drive, maybe a 20 or 30-minute drive from your home area or home base to start. Unless, of course, you have a really good property manager, a really good team that you're doing this with. Yeah. Otherwise, we've done stuff 2 hours away and we've gotten hosed.
Oh, yeah, it's tough. It takes your whole day just to do a small task.
Exactly. And especially when you're flipping or you're, renovating the properties, it's really, really important that you're there consistently. And when they're 2 hours, well, you're basically driving for 4 hours, 5 hours out of the day to evaluate a property. It's really hard to make sure things flow properly. And then you lose holding costs and all this other stuff. And one small mistake becomes a big mistake. And
it just doesn't end. Yeah. No. All right. What else we got here? So this is Lisa following up to the topic we were on a while ago. I explained to him $120 equals $20 over 6 years to cover a 2% increase in taxes, water, sewer, electricity I pay. Some people just don't get it.
That's true. Some people don't get it. And hopefully now you're going to move on, find a better tenant, and hope you don't have too much extra cost for the turnover.
I mean, let's face it, chances are that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. This person probably had a lot of other issues with as a tenant as well, if that's the way in which they're handling these kind of situations. So I think it's all, when you do move on, look at it as a good thing. It's going to be an expensive good thing, but it may be a great thing. A, you'll be able to get full price. B, hopefully you can upgrade to a better tenant. Hey, I'm a new viewer who pays the receivership for its services, and how does the bank actually benefit? Well, that's
awesome.
An interesting question.
So we can go kind of quickly into that. Every town is a little different how they actually created their receivership law. So I, look into that. But essentially, the receiver is paid typically at the end of the receivership, either by the owner or the bank, or they foreclose on the property to recoup their costs.
Right. So the receiver, basically, if they're not getting paid right along during the receivership, which is pretty common, the money they're putting out or their time they're spending gets billed to the property as a lien, a priority lien on the property.
Priority lien.
Super duper priority lien. It's going on the property. So at the end of at the end of it, now we're both dorky. It's fine. That's why they love us, right? But at the end of the receivership, the receiver basically puts their hand out and says, "Okay, somebody's got to pay the bill."
Now, if it, we've seen some receiverships where it was income producing property, so there was like maybe 2 or 3 tenants. We actually we just bought a receivership we did years ago.
Yeah.
And but basically, if you're actually collecting rent, so you're stepping in as the receiver, you're also the manager of the property, and you're collecting that rent, you can use that income to offset some of your costs. And so we were actually looking at trying to buy also a shopping plaza recently where a receiver was put in place, where the income from the property was almost $500,000 a month in gross revenue. And so the receiver obviously was, charging their fees. They were, doing all that. So they didn't build up a lien because there was so much freaking money. But yeah.
All right. We got a ton of questions stacked up here on our YouTube live. Let's check them out.
Hey guys, very informed channel. Awesome.
Appreciate it. Glad you're here.
He's got another question. I have a question. Can I borrow against a property that I bought with a Heloc? Yes. Oh, definitely. So the Heloc it's not becoming, so when you take out your Heloc and then you use that money to buy a property, that is not putting a lien on that property. So the lien stays on your property that you have the Heloc with. So now what you can do is go refinance that property. That's the general strategy, is use a Heloc, get that property, then do either a cash out refinance or just a regular refinance on the property bought with a Heloc. Once you get that money back, I would then pay off my Heloc. And then now you have a loan or mortgage on that property that you had bought with it. And now rinse and repeat.
Yeah. We're getting to having to wrap this up pretty soon. So I want to get through the rest of these comments and questions here.
Mobile, you're welcome.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. All right. Do you set that LLC profit? So I would highly recommend talking to a real estate lawyer in your area. We personally don't do an LLC per property unless the property warrants it.
Yeah.
So
if it's a massive, expensive property.
Yeah, if it's maybe a $1 million property or something like that, we might put that in its own LLC. In Massachusetts, you have a $500 filing fee for the LLC, as well as you got to do all the tax docs and pay your CPA to do all that. So it does add up quickly. At one point, we had structured basically maybe about 50 to 100 units per LLC. But it really, everyone's situation is a little different. I definitely recommend finding some kind of legal structure in general, but talk to a local real estate agent and maybe real estate lawyer, and maybe also a real estate CPA to see what's the best tax advantage for you as well.
Yeah. What is your average percent of your offers below the sales price in this economic climate? I typically offered 20% below the sales price. So I guess if we're looking at buying something, so with something like this, we're generally looking to buy a property at a wholesale type of a price. So we're not really going off of an ARV itself and then offering below that. We're actually backing out all the repairs that it needs, and then we're taking a pretty hefty percentage, 30%, I think we usually try to do, off of that price.
So yeah, I would say generally, so we're doing the 70% rule. So we generally do the 70% rule and then also take out the repairs and all that stuff. So we're starting off at ARV and taking 30% off essentially, and then backing out liens and fees and all that kind of stuff. So
a roof, a kitchen remodel.
Yeah, sometimes we're buying stuff 20 cents on the dollar.
More or less. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's 20%, 20 cents on the ARV dollar.
On the ARV dollar, right? Not it's actual.
I wish.
Well, I'm not sure when he says sale price. I'm assuming he's meaning ARV.
I'm thinking too.
Yeah. Hey guys, is it true that I can owner occupy a part of a CRE property? I have the choice of putting 2% down payment.
I don't know what a CRE property is.
Commercial real estate?
Maybe.
Possibly. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, boy, I'm sorry. I'm not sure if it's. I'm really bad with the acronyms and stuff sometimes too. Everybody uses different things. So
if you could ask that again, or if not, put it in the comment. We can get
get it to you later on.
Exactly. Sorry about that. Do you guys own? Yes, we do.
Where?
We have a 4-family in where we've had we've had what? 3-4 families?
If it wasn't for this property, we get stuck in the stupid. We get stuck in the stupid who's on first routine all the time with this stupid property. I'm telling you, man. So the amount of people that are like, "Do you own any properties and where?" I said, "Where?"
Where?
And they're like, "Where?" No, where? And we just go back and forth, and it's supposed to be funny every time we do it, and it's never funny.
No, it's not funny at all. You just did it again, so I don't know why.
Moving on. But yes, we do.
Besides using other people's money, what are ways that you can use to cover down payments and closing costs? So obviously using hard money lenders for the down payment, stuff like that. You can use your Heloc, which is someone was talking about earlier. I think that's a great way of getting that down payment. There's ways. So if you have crypto, you can actually borrow off your crypto. Be careful, but you can borrow off of that. And I think a lot of like Celsius and stuff like that allows you to do 50% of the value there. But there are some repercussions if it goes down in price, so be careful. But that's another way to leverage assets that you have. Bringing in a partner. That's another really good way of doing it as well.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. People are like, how am I supposed to do this? I'm like, you don't have to do it all yourself. You can always partner up.
Yep.
That's why it's 2 guys take on real estate.
He had issues. All right. He's suing you.
You can see the writing on the wall with people like that. So
he raised the rent a little bit and he's suing you?
I mean, it's probably just one of the many, many things going on. And
wow.
We deal with that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah, we do.
FHA with grant lowers your down payment.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go. You can definitely get FHA that will lower the payment. There's bank assistance programs. There are a few down payment assistance programs. Talk to your local housing authority. They'll have access to a lot of that information as well.
I just looked ahead at the next comment too while you were reading that.
Okay. Here we go. Hey, how does the bank benefit in a receivership situation?
It doesn't. It usually doesn't. Receiverships are pretty tragic to banks.
Yeah. So
generally.
So this is just real quick. And if you we have some videos on our YouTube channel about receiverships, but as a receiver, you become a super priority lien. So you become in a chain of title, you became ahead of the bank, even though you came after from timestamp, you're now ahead of them. Which means they get wiped away.
They can get wiped away.
They can.
Basically the bank is owed $200,000 on a mortgage on this property. And maybe you stepping in as receiver rack up $100,000 worth of, renovation work to it. The bank, the house is only worth so much money. Maybe the house is only worth $200,000. So already right there, the bank has already lost essentially half at least of their loan.
And now, just so you know, at least in Massachusetts, I can't speak for other states, but they're notified about this way before it comes into a receivership. They have opportunity, and some banks do. Some banks step up. They say, "Fine, we're going to board secure. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
We'll hire a management
company.
We'll make the repairs.
Exactly.
And they'll deal with it." But
they have the opportunity.
They do, but unfortunately, banks aren't freaking set up for that, man. They're lending institutions. They're not set up to be property management companies and landlords and contractors and hire all this stuff. So they had to, when receivership started becoming more of a bigger thing, especially in our area, a lot of banks were blindsided by it because they're not set up for that stuff. And they had to make a lot of changes to their business to succeed.
So they don't choose, banks aren't choosing to become a receiver.
Yeah.
The courts appoint the receiver. So essentially what a receivership is someone, let's just say Kevin owns a house. Well, he owns a few. And let's say,
I have to be the jerk.
You are, you're the jerk. And Kevin basically is not taking care of his property. And so they send him notices, they talk to him, the code enforcement cites him, stuff like that.
It's really the city generally.
The city, yep. And they said the city's like, I can't get this guy to do what's the right thing.
I'm not mowing my lawn.
And they're notifying the banks too, by the way. And so then they bring Kevin into court and say, you need to do this or we're going to put a receivership in. And that means we're going to put someone in charge to make it happen.
Right.
And he's like, I don't have the money, or F you. I don't know. I'm not going to do it.
I'm either unwilling or unable to keep my property code compliant.
So then they call someone like me to come in. And
who's they? Now, they being
the court. The court appoints, basically the city says, hey, I need someone to be, put in charge of this property. The owner doesn't have the wherewithal to do it. And
Judge,
the court says,
Kevin's a deadbeat. He won't do what we need him to do. Here's all the things we've done. He's had so much time to do this. He's had so many chances. He still won't do it. Judge, we need you to appoint somebody that we all trust to take care of the property. So then they bring in Matty Boy.
Yeah, right? Matty Boy,
the landlord ninja.
The landlord ninja.
And they
flipping landlord ninja.
And the city asks the judge to appoint Matt, someone they know and trust, and the court knows and trust.
Yep. And so basically I come in and I have to front the cash basically to, more or less for the most part.
I mean, some of these things could be simple stuff, guys. It could be
boarding
up. If it's a vacant house, we just boarding up the windows and doors, locking it down and then keeping it mowed, keeping the sidewalks cleared.
It can be simple. And basically I step in and I start taking care of the property. The bank doesn't want us to do that in general, but if they haven't actually done what needs to be done, because it is what it is.
Because you charge full freaking price.
Well, of course, I'm charging market cost.
So he's getting paid big bucks to go over there and mow that lawn. He's not getting paid next door neighbor 13-year-old summertime job mowing rates. He's getting paid landscaper prices.
Yeah, exactly.
He shovels those sidewalks. He's getting paid full price. Every minute he spends.
I created the report when I have to go to court, I charge for everything. I document everything and put it all into.
And don't forget, me as the deadbeat owner of that property, I don't have any cash. I can't pay him anything. I'm either unwilling or unable to pay for these things. I'm not cooperative one way or another. So every finger he lifts, every dollar he spends on that property to manage that property in my stead, basically, goes right towards the super priority, super duper triple scooper priority lien. I made that up on my I gotta be on the next M&M.
Yeah.
On my property, and it pushes the bank further and further down the chain. Yeah. So that's how it goes.
So we do got to wrap this up. So once again, we started this all. I know we sideways answering some questions in here.
Get us going.
I know, right? But so Zillow has pulled out of actually their offer program. I know. I get it. And we feel that this might be an indicator of what's to come. We are now, once again, looking at all of our markets with more scrutiny, making sure our offers are a little tighter, and we don't want to be, catching a falling knife. I think that's the best way to call it.
I love that expression.
You're welcome. All right, guys. I really appreciate everyone. I hope everyone has a great day, and don't forget to check out our other videos.
Yeah, show our channel a little bit of love. Drop some likes and some hugs and some comments. Hey, we
Kevin
need
needs a hug.
That's right. I was a big boy. I went to the dentist today.
Really?
Like an adult, absolutely, and I need a hug. So drop me a comment. Say hello on our YouTube live stream videos. There's plenty of other live streams. If this is your first time sitting in on one with us, we love doing this stuff with us. So check the other ones out and show us some love on there too.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Take care.